right, so let's try one more of these, see what we can come up with. Again, we want to see if we can come up with a consistent quotient or factor that's that when we divide out, can we get the same number over and over again? So 0.75 divided by 1.5 on the calculator, of course, is going to give us 1/2, or 0.5. 1.5 divided by 3 gives us the same 0.5, so I'm going to call that a half. 3 divided by 6 is also going to give us a 0.5, which is 1/2. And then 6 divided by 12 is going to be consistent with the rest of them. We get the same value. So we know that this function is going to have a base of 1/2. The parent function is 1/2 to the x. However, because when we see 0, we're not getting 1, something else is happening there. So what we want to do is see, has it jumped up or down? Well, is 1/2 to any power going to equal any one of these values? And the answer to that is no, it's not going to. So nothing has jumped up and down horizontally with the x. We aren't sliding the values up and down against those x's. So something else is going on that produces the same quotient here. What I would say is, let's see, typically, and it hasn't been added vertically because we're not going to get the right values if I were to test a value where I add 2 vertically to the whole thing. So 1/2, let's test 1/2 and see what happens. If I did 1/2 to the first power, I would get 1/2. When I add 2 to 1/2, I should get 2.5, not 1.5. So it's not been the case. I have not added anything to the x, and I haven't added anything vertically either. So the only other option is that there must be a multiplier there. So if this is typically supposed to be a 1, right? And let's see, if I did 1/2 to the -2, I would get 4. And if I get 1/2 to the -1, I should get 2. If I do 1/2 to the first, I should get 1/2. And 1/2 to the second should be 1/4. What I want to do is see what can I multiply with 1 to get 3? And the answer of that, of course, is going to be 1 times 3 is going to be 3. So I'm going to test and see if I multiply this value times 3, am I going to get 6? And the answer is yes. If I multiply this value times 3, am I going to get 12? And the answer is yes. If I take 1/2 and multiply it times 3, you can do that in your calculator, you will get 1.5. And 1/4 multiplied with 3 does give me a 3/4 or a 0.75. So guess what? There's a multiplier of 3. So that answers the question for our function here.